When I left Army basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia and went off to Fort Leonard Wood for AIT, I kind of expected that it was going to be a lot like it was in basic training. Well, I showed up, checked in, and then they told me, come back Sunday evening for in-processing. And I was like, wait a minute, I can just leave? I can just go? Cool. Well, I got a hotel, slept a lot, and ate a lot of junk food and fast food, but nonetheless, there are some differences from basic training into AIT, and I've got 5 specific ones that I want to highlight in this video. Ooh, especially that one where you get to have... Let's kick things off and let's talk about the living conditions from basic training to AIT, as they're different. Oh, by the way, I know a lot of times I talk about, basic training, OSIT, same thing. In this case, probably not the same as basic training and OSIT. Different because like OSIT is people that doing like infantry, right? This kind of like they have a basic training position or portion of it, and then it goes into an AIT portion, and it's not a whole lot different. So sorry, but for you individuals that are going to start off doing basic training and then maybe at that same location or have to go somewhere else to do AIT, advanced individual training, this is a little bit more up your alley. So those living conditions in basic training often are like this big bay with a bunch of bunk beds or something like that, and you're just all in one giant room, sharing that living space and air and everything with all your fellow soldiers, where AIT is typically not like that. Now, for a lot of these scenarios, it does depend on your AIT location, what you're going to AIT for, how long your AIT is with any of this stuff, because definitely the longer AITs may get a little bit more relaxed compared to shorter AITs. But going to that living conditions thing, let's talk about what the AIT living conditions could possibly be like. The barracks in AIT most commonly might get something like 4 to a room, 6 to a room, nothing crazy like it was with basic training where you had like everybody in that same room, so it's a little bit more kind of reduced down. You're not gonna have probably any scenarios where you get your own room. You probably don't get that luxury until you actually get to your unit. A lot of the common ones I've seen is you might have like one other person. Maybe it's you and one other soldier and you guys have this little room that you guys kind of share and you have that. So you got a lot more privacy than in basic training compared to when you had that giant bay. So the living conditions, definitely a big improvement from, basic training, but also dependent on your AIT. Like I said, those longer AITs, probably more common. You're gonna have you and another person in that kind of barracks room, but some of the shorter AITs, it might be a scenario where it's maybe you with like 5 other soldiers in a room, but still probably better than it was in basic training, most likely. I still got 4 more to cover, but if you want the no bullshit, good, bad about the Army, this is your channel. You should hit that subscribe button because that's what I give you. I'm not gonna give you that recruiter talk and try to talk you into the Army. I'm gonna tell you straight up, the good, the bad, all the stuff in between about the United States Army. So make sure you're subscribed and let's get into the 4th thing that I wanna mention about the differences between basic and AIT. Now, the 4th one we're talking about here is free time. You probably already expect that in basic training, you're not gonna get a lot of free time. Maybe a little bit of time here and there to write some letters, maybe use the phones, a little bit here and there, but not much. But in AIT, again, depending on your length of time that you're gonna be there, you're definitely gonna get more than you got in basic training. Because in AIT, you'll have a little bit more free time, like especially like in the evenings or something like that, where you're not quite as restrictive as it is in basic training, where, yeah, you can probably go and hang out with some of the people you're there with AIT at, you're maybe even enjoying some of the amenities. I remember like I got opportunities to go to like the nearby PX, the shop at, you'll even get maybe even some a little bit more relaxed conditions where you can go a little bit farther away to kind of, go to like the PX to go get, some food from one of the local fast food places, go to the bowling alley. You're not gonna get those things obviously in basic training, but in AIT, in moments here and there, you're gonna get that stuff. You usually have to earn it at a certain kind of level of AIT, after maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, right? And then you kind of start to earn some of these privileges to be able to kind of get a little bit more of the free time to especially go off to like the PX and the bowling alley and stuff like that. Especially like with some locations, you'll probably even get some like weekends off. Like I remember, if you pass the physical fitness test, you pass some of the tests that we had leading up to a certain point, then you got like a little weekend pass, they would kind of call it, to where you got to actually leave post, you can go get a hotel and go hang out with some friends and have some fun or whatever type of thing, and then be back at a certain time, maybe Sunday evening type of thing, and have a little bit more enjoyment to kind of, freedom of doing things. And if you got family in the area and they want to come hang out with you, you can do that stuff. But again, some of that depends on your AIT length. The shorter ones, you may only get this like once or twice, but those longer AITs, you may get a lot more often. As an example of that, if you're someone that has already been through AIT, right, I want to hear down in the comment section down below as far as like how much free time did you get, right? Did you get every weekend off, only a couple here and there? That way people that are watching this video can kind of check out maybe some of your responses down in the comment section down below. So let's move on to the next one. Number 3 is the drill sergeants, because yes, there are still drill sergeants in AIT. They're not at the same level, right, as far as intensity as they are in basic training, but nonetheless, they are still there. They may not be up in your face yelling at you all the time, smoking you every second they can, but you're still gonna have drill sergeants, and it's gonna be maybe not as bad as basic, but nonetheless in a different way. A lot of people may say things like, well, the AIT drill sergeants are more like babysitters. They're kind of there to babysit you and then pass you off to the instructors, because when you're actually doing like the AIT classes, they usually have like non-commissioned officers that are, very skilled at that job to kind of teach you, and they're the instructors that are teaching you how to do your job. And the drill sergeants are, kind of in a way the babysitters, during AIT, because they're marching you to chow, they're marching you to class, they're, doing physical fitness with you in the morning, and then kind of passing you off to the instructors. So like I said, they're not with you as often as they are like in basic training, because you have instructors that are teaching you, and then the drill sergeants, like I said, a lot of people call them just the babysitters at AIT. Will they yell at you and smoke the crap out of you? Sure, it really depends like on how your class is doing, right? If your class is messing up and goofing around, not paying attention, not doing what they want you to do, yeah, they're still gonna yell at you, they're still gonna smoke you, you still have to address them as drill sergeant and still kind of act the same way, but they're just not around as much. What about when it comes to eating in the chow hall? Well, that's number 4 on this list here, as it's a little bit different than it is in basic training. It's definitely not as rushed as it can be in basic training, where, you can't be caught looking around, you can't be caught talking to your battle buddies, you just gotta eat and get the hell up and get the hell out of there so that we can get back to training. Where AIT, a little bit more relaxed. You can probably go and talk to your friends and look around a little bit and enjoy your food a little bit more. You do still have like a timeline of sorts, right? It's not just as long as you want to take to eat chow kind of a thing, right? But it's a little bit different, right? You may get like marched to chow, and then you just kind of like wait your turn in line, get whatever you want to get type of thing, sit down, eat, chat with your friends or whatever, and then we need to be somewhere still, probably after lunch. So you may like come out of the chow hall and then you kind of like just kind of hang out waiting for everybody else to kind of finish up. Sometimes, especially like with dinner chow, I've seen it where we personally would kind of do it where once you get done with dinner chow, you had to just kind of like march back in groups of 3s or 4s or something like that. So once you had enough people together, then you kind of march back over to the barracks and stuff. So a little more relaxed with kind of, eating, as far as breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all this stuff. Not the same as that craziness, that madhouse that you have with basic training when you have to hurry up and eat, taste it later, and let's get back to training. Now, your 5th one is communications with the outside world, right? You want to be able to use your cell phone, you want to be able to talk to your loved ones and everything, tell them how you're doing, see what's going on back home, how is Toto doing, with the new diet, I don't know, whatever it is you got going on, you want to talk to them. And in basic training, it's very restrictive. You may get to use your phones once, twice, sometimes it depends on your basic training locations, but in AIT, don't worry, it does get a lot more relaxed. Depending on how long your AIT is, you easily could end up in a scenario where you get to keep your cell phone. Maybe you can't take it with you on training, you got to leave it back in your barracks room. Maybe you got like a wall locker usually that you lock stuff up in, and they tell you, hey, make sure that you lock up your cell phones inside your wall lockers, don't take it with you for training, and then when you go back to the barracks, cool, you can use your cell phones and have that luxury to be able to call home, text, surf the internet on your phone, whatever it is you want to do. Hell, there's a good chance that you are right now in AIT watching this video, and if so, comment down below, right? What was it like in basic training as far as how often you got to use a cell phone compared to in AIT, how often you got to use a cell phone? Or even if you're someone who's already been through AIT, how often was it you got to use a cell phone compared to basic training? Of course, for me, cell phones were not a thing really in basic training. I mean, they were, but not everybody had cell phones like you do today. So we had pay phones, and in basic training, got to use them once in a while here and there, where AIT, usually in the evening, they're pretty open and you can pretty much use it almost every night for the most part if you really wanted to. So there's a lot more relaxed in my day compared to today's day and age. But nonetheless, in the comment section down below, I want to hear from you guys. If you have some questions maybe about what about this compared to basic training or that compared to basic training, if you got some things you're kind of curious about, drop in the comment section down below. And if I can answer them, I'll do my best to try to answer them. Otherwise, some of my viewers may help me out and try to answer them to be able to get back to you and get you an answer, hopefully. So let me know down in the comment section down below, what are your questions in this topic? For me, I like the extra freedom from AIT compared to basic training. You got a little bit of time to be able to go to the shop and get something to drink, get some snacks. You got some weekends off. I didn't get a whole lot because my AIT was pretty short, but when you did, it was a nice change compared to, basic training. So Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If so, then make sure you're subscribed to the channel. But if you want to learn a little bit more, maybe you're curious, hey, what happens if I fail something in basic training? What happens if I fail something in AIT? Well, those are two different answers, and I actually have two separate videos on that. It probably pops up on screen right now that you can check out those videos and learn more about that. Nonetheless, thank you so much for watching. I'm Christopher Chaos. I'll see you next time. See ya.